Hi grade 9s and 10s. I am going to be going over the requirements for the Macbeth essay. So I sent those out last week and I'm going to read them from the document I sent you and also explain them a little bit further so you can follow along with me if you want to. Okay, so it says Macbeth essay and the topic is: did the events in Macbeth's life occur because of the witch's prophecy or because of the choices he made? Was it his fate to do evil things? And so in brackets I have the definition of fate here: supernatural forces controlling him. Or was it a result of his free will? Brackets, his own fault. So what you have to decide here is Macbeth in charge of his own life? Did he make his own bad choices? Or is he not really in charge and therefore not really to blame for what he did, because the witches and some evil forces set him on a path, not just by tricking him, but actually controlling him. So this is a classic debate that people engage in, not just in Macbeth, but in life in general. How much of our own lives do we have control over, and how much is predetermined either by God or supernatural forces or genetics, or science? So it's this question of fate versus free will. So you are writing a short essay. It might not seem short to you, but this is a short essay, and in which you define the words fate and free will. So you'll begin your essay. After you do your introduction, you'll quickly define what is fate, what is free will, and you will argue by referring to and quoting the play whether Macbeth acted by his own bad choices or whether he was tricked and led by fate into evil. So you have to choose one or the other. So the point of your essay is to pick what you think is true. Now there's not one right answer. You are totally free to choose either perspective and argue that. So what I'm grading you is not which option you picked, but did you back up your points? So how well did you do proving that your option was logical? So how well did you write? Okay, so grade 9s, the essay must be between 750 and 1,000 words. So that's not very, very long, and you can check in your document to see how many words that is. And then in grade 10s, your essay must be between 1,000 and 1,250 words. Okay, so here's the format. So you will have an introduction, and that will be one paragraph in which you introduce the topic and have your main argument in one thesis statement. Okay, so when you introduce the topic, what you are doing is just letting the reader know what it is that you're talking about. So what you want to say is something about how you are talking about Macbeth in Shakespeare's play and looking at the question of whether his actions are his own free will or a result of his fate. And then you will make one clear sentence, and I will make another video about how to do this specifically, but you will make one clear sentence that is your thesis statement, and that means the statement that you are clearly expressing what it is that you are arguing. So you could say, Macbeth is free to make his own choices, and even though the witches are trying to trap him, it's his own fault that he did these bad things. Okay, that could be your statement. Or you could say, it is not Macbeth's fault that he did these bad things because the witches have tricked him into it. Okay, so something like that will be your thesis statement. And that will wrap up your first paragraph. Then you will have a body. This will be the main part of your essay, and it will be a few paragraphs long, in which you will argue your point and try to convince your reader. And you want to split this up really well into different points to prove from the play that he either acted out of his own free will or he acted out of fate. And then your conclusion is a short paragraph, probably 3 or 4 sentences, where you just wrap up your points briefly. So you're just going to summarize really quickly what it is that you said in your essay. You're not going to introduce any new points. You're not going to make any more new evidence. You're just going to wrap it up so that to help your reader understand what it is that you're trying to say. Okay, so what you are graded on, here's what I'm looking for. Number 1, the logic of your ideas and your arguments. So does it make sense? When you say, well, Macbeth acted out of his own free will because look at this point. If that doesn't make sense or it doesn't prove what you're trying to prove, that's not logical. So you have to use points in the play that are logical and they make sense and they're a good convincing argument. So that's number 1, what you're graded on. Number 2, the quality of your writing. Do you use a good vocabulary? Is it a professional type of vocabulary? Does it have a good range of words so that you're not just using the same words all of the time? Does it flow nicely? Is it interesting to read? The third thing you'll be marked on is your mechanics, and that means did you use correct grammar? Did you use correct punctuation? Is your spelling correct? So that should be really easy to manage because in whatever document you're typing it up on, and they will correct that for you and you just have to click and make sure you're doing it right. So that should be easy to accomplish. Okay, and this next part says use only your own ideas about the play other than looking up definitions for free will and fate. So you'll have to look those up to make sure you have a good handle on what is free will and what is fate, and you're going to put those in the play and make sure you note where that's from. But don't use online sources for ideas. Don't read online sources. Don't look anything up. I just want you to understand what is free will and fate and then go back to the play and get your own ideas. Okay? I will know it is really easy for me to tell if it's your own ideas or if you've looked things up online. I know what the Shakespeare websites say and I know what the kinds of things websites say. So don't try to take ideas offline. Okay, so you need to do 2 drafts of this essay. The first draft is due May 26th, but if you get an 80% or higher on your first draft, you could just leave it at that and that will be your final essay if you want to. If you want to improve your grade, you could fix it up again and aim for a higher grade, but if you get over 80%, then you can consider that your final draft if you want to. If you get less than 80% on your first draft, then you have to write a second draft. So I will edit it and I will tell you ways that you can improve your essay. And then that second draft of your essay will be due on June 5th. Okay, so let me know what questions you have and I will post a video in the next few days about how to write a good thesis statement. But for now, you should be reading over the play and looking for ideas and you can keep a document or a piece of paper where you're writing down ideas and just start thinking about which way you are going to argue. What do you think it makes more sense to you? So, great. Thanks for watching.